With E3 right around the corner, we know that a lot of new games are going to be announced, especially when it comes to Xbox and Bethesda and what they're planning with their stacked 23 developers and studios. Let's get into a couple of games that might show up on the Xbox stage at this year's E3. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you want to be notified on future content, hit that small bell icon. The support is greatly appreciated. But enough of that, let's get into these games that might be announced on the Xbox stage. And these aren't just some small games Xbox will announce. I'm talking AAA studios working on huge games that have been on the back burner for what seems like a little while now. One of them is from Arkane, who is a new first-party developer for Xbox. And of course, they came over to Xbox from that massive Bethesda acquisition we saw at the tail end of last year. They've been a very quiet developer for a couple of years and haven't really announced much. So they have a rumored vampire-esque game that has been in development for quite some time. And after them, we have Compulsion Games, which has been a part of the Xbox Game Studio family since 2018. They were announced during that big blowout E3 announcement Phil Spencer had when they talked about buying 5 studios. And funny enough, the last time they brought out a game was back in 2018 with We Happy Few. So let's get into these leaks and let's get into these brand new AAA games that Xbox is making, because I have a feeling this year's E3 might be a little tempered, but I feel like they'll come with a couple of new games to get people raring for the 2021 holiday season. And the first one I want to talk about has to be the Arkane Studio game, because it's being talked about by multiple insiders and multiple people around the gaming world. Not to mention, it's going to be one of the first games Bethesda brings out for the Xbox platform as an exclusive. So like Starfield, this could be a huge game that a lot of people see as the beginning of the ZeniMax purchase that Xbox got underway. But first, let's get into what was being said about the game and when we should expect it. Here's what the article talks about. Arkane's new fantasy IP is reportedly called Omen, vampire related and coming next year, rumor. The game is apparently going to be announced at E3. Okay, so I first want to mention that Arkane Studios also making the exclusive PlayStation 5 game Deathloop. So people must be wondering, how can they release Deathloop this year but also get a brand new AAA game out next year for Xbox? Well, that's because Arkane Studios isn't just one studio, they have multiple studios. One is in Lyon, France, which is the team behind Deathloop, and the other one is a AAA studio that operates out of Austin, Texas. That Texas team is the one working on this new Omen game. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that this is going to be a brand new fantasy IP, which is something that I feel Bethesda Studios loves to dabble in, especially when they want to make a new IP to grab a new audience. Because most people know Arcane for Prey and Dishonored, but it seems they're moving away from those games, which the article mentions right here. Earlier this year, job listings suggested that Arkane Studios' Austin team, who developed Prey and Dishonored, were working on a new fantasy IP. Now, some new details on whatever this new game is have potentially emerged, and the game's apparently closer to launch than you'd expect. So about these job listings the article mentions, this is something we've talked about on this channel, because what most people don't understand is that Bethesda was a huge publisher before Xbox even bought them. And to be quite honest, they're continuing to operate in that same way, because the leadership there is amazing and Xbox trusts them to get huge games out every single year. So when we hear about Arkane Austin hiring developers like crazy, it's because they're working on a brand new game. And seeing how they haven't released a game in quite some time, it's obvious that they're working on a new game that will release in the next year or so, especially since last year Bethesda didn't show one single thing all year. They didn't have an E3 show and they didn't have a digital event to talk about the games they're working on. So I'm not surprised to see this game get leaked and talked about by insiders, because keeping things secret for so long can only go so far. And seeing how E3 is right around the corner, I would expect to see a couple games get leaked before the big showing, which is what happened with this game, Omen. Like the article mentions again right here, The rumor originated on ResetEra and has since been shared on Twitter by Xbox News. Arkane Austin's new IP is apparently called Omen, or that's its working title at least, and has vampires. The game apparently has spring 2022 target launch window and will allegedly be revealed at E3 next month, perhaps with a CGI trailer. Of course, this is an unconfirmed, unverified report, so take this with a grain of salt, but if it does turn out to be accurate, it'll be interesting to see what a studio as talented as Arcane does with this premise. We'll keep you updated on all new details, of course, so stay tuned. So this brand new IP is looking at a spring 2022 release date, which is something I feel could truly happen. Because what we have to remember is that E3 for Xbox is usually a huge showing of games that will come out in the next year or so. Do they sometimes announce huge games that will come out in 2+ years? Of course they do. But for the most part, they try to keep it to games that will be released in the next year and a half. And seeing how this game's been in development for quite a little while, I'm not surprised we'll get to see the game at E3 and have a release date for spring 2022. It just makes too much sense for that to happen, especially since we know that Halo Infinite is coming this year along with the new Forza Horizon 5. Those games are slated for holiday 2021, so when we look at spring 2022, there's a lot of potential for Xbox to release a big game there. And why not have a brand new Bethesda studio release a brand new AAA vampire IP to kick off the new year and the Xbox Series X into next year? Which brings me to the next game, Compulsion Games, the somewhat forgotten studio at Xbox. Now, they weren't the biggest buyout in 2018, but they were a studio that had a lot of potential to make something great. And from the looks of it, they'll be working on a brand new third-person AAA game, which is what the article mentions right here. Compulsion Games seems to be working on a new third-person action-adventure game. It's believed that the project will be a new IP. And here is what Phil Spencer had to say about the studio when he was asked questions about them. It's a young studio and they are still growing and learning the craft of what they are as a team. But looking at what they're gonna do next, I love their ability to create new worlds and unique settings. This is always something that is fun. So without saying too much, this is one of them. In this one, he's talking about studios that he's excited about, and he blatantly brought up Compulsion Games because of that, and that's what he had to say about them. So as you can see, this new studio is working on something very different, and could be a world-building game much like they did with We Happy Few. Was that game a world beater and something that changed gaming? No, but it was a unique game with a pretty awesome art style attached to it, and because of job listings, we know they're working on a brand new third-person AAA game, like the article says right here. So far, we haven't seen anything from this game and we have no idea what is coming, but now we've just might have gotten a clue thanks to good old job listings. This time for 9 positions, one of them being a game designer. It says the person who is applying should have experience in third-person action adventure games, which most likely means we can expect something in this vein. Compulsion also clarifies that ability to prototype and experiment in Unreal Engine is important, and this should mean it is an Unreal-based title. Finally, it also revealed that it is a new IP, which was expected. And we know that Compulsion has grown in a very big way compared to pretty much every other studio at Xbox. They were supposed to be a AA studio that brought out smaller games or even those games that were in between AA and AAA. Yet the leadership there wanted more and had the confidence to make something worthwhile. And because of the leadership and confidence from Xbox, they were given a huge budget and greenlit to hire like crazy, which it looks like they've done just that. Now, of course, we might see this team appear at E3, but we also might have to wait until next year to see what they're cooking up. Either way, these are 2 brand new AAA IPs being developed by Xbox's internal studios, and it's looking like Omen might be releasing a lot sooner than we all think. And if it is a spring 2022 release date, I expect to see some pretty awesome gameplay at E3 showcasing this new game. Let's just hope we also get to see Compulsion Games announce their new AAA game, because that's something I've been excited about for some time now. E3's Xbox and Bethesda showcase is shaping up to be a pretty big show if you ask me, and I'm just excited to see new games and excited to see what Xbox is bringing out, because so far everything they've brought out and all the exclusive deals they signed that go to Game Pass just gets me excited, because I get to play these games all the time on my PC or my Xbox Series X or wherever. I love the connectivity, I love what Xbox is doing, and I hope they announce a bunch of new games. But enough of what I think about all of this. Tell me what you think about all of this. Are you excited to see what Omen is going to be? Will we see this game at E3 with gameplay? Can you see Omen coming out in spring 2022? Will Compulsion Games announce their new game? Do you expect to see multiple new AAA games at E3? What other games is Xbox hiding up their sleeves? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I'm playing a bunch of games. I've been playing the Zombie Driver game that I got on sale on Xbox. Oh man, that game is so fun. I don't know how to explain it. It's a 360 game, but they kind of gave it an enhanced spin on the Xbox, and I've just been running around, running over zombies, and having a blast with the game. It's a smaller title, but I'm almost at like 2,000 out of 2,000 achievements. I've completed every achievement in the single player. I've completed almost every achievement in the slaughter mode. Everything about that game is just fun, and it's small, it's easy to play. You just pick up while you're in a party with your friends, and you have fun with it. But outside of that, I've been really looking forward to playing Battlefield a little bit more. I've been getting into that, and Mass Effect, of course. So yeah, lots of games out there, and I can't wait to play all the other games coming out on the PS5 and for Game Pass coming this month in June. But let me know what you're playing down below. I want to know if you're playing something on your Xbox, your PC, your PS5, or are you going through your backlog, or are you waiting for a new game to come out? Let me know down below, because that's what we're here for, to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.